In 722 BC, 10 entire nations vanished from the face of the earth. Not 10 people, not 10 villages, 10 entire nations, each with its own territory, its own military, and a combined population of nearly 500,000 people. They did not die in a plague. They did not sink into the ocean. They were conquered, uprooted, and scattered across the largest empire on earth at the time. And then they simply stopped appearing in any historical record anywhere. Ever again. No mass grave, no final battle, just silence. These were the 10 northern tribes of Israel, direct descendants of the sons of Jacob, the same family line that produced Moses, received the Torah at Sinai, and built a kingdom that the entire ancient world recognized. And in the span of a single generation, all 10 of them disappeared. For 2,700 years, scholars, explorers, rabbis, and geneticists have been trying to find them. What they discovered is stranger than the mystery itself. To understand how they disappeared, you have to understand the mechanism that made it so complete. After King Solomon died, his kingdom split. The 10 northern tribes formed the kingdom of Israel. The 2 southern tribes, Judah and Benjamin, kept Jerusalem and became the kingdom of Judah. This is critical. This split is why Jews today are called Jews. From the tribe of Judah, the southern survivor. The northern 10 had a different destiny entirely. In 722 BC, the Assyrian Empire besieged the northern capital, Samaria. When the city fell, the Assyrian king Sargon II completed a massive deportation. 27,290 people deported from Samaria alone. From the broader territories, historians estimate up to 200,000 people were uprooted. But the Assyrians didn't just move people. They had a deliberate imperial policy: scatter the conquered so thoroughly that no national identity could survive. They took the Israelites and resettled them in Hala, in Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes, locations spread across modern-day northern Iraq and western Iran. Then, they moved foreign peoples into the vacated Israelite land. The original inhabitants were gone, no homeland to return to, no concentrated community to preserve their identity, surrounded by foreign cultures and languages. The Assyrian deportation policy was not just military, it was civilizational erasure. And against 10 tribes spread across hundreds of miles of empire, it worked. Then, the searching began. Over 2,700 years, 4 serious candidates have emerged with actual evidence behind their claims. Candidate number 1, the Pashtuns. 40 million Pashtuns in Afghanistan and Pakistan, the same population that produced the Mujahideen, have maintained for centuries that they are Bnei Israel, children of Israel. Many of their tribal names sound Hebrew. The Yusufzai, sons of Joseph, the Afridi, linked to Ephraim. Their tribal code, Pashtunwali, contains elements that have no parallel in surrounding Islamic cultures, but do mirror Mosaic law. Specific practices around circumcision, dietary restrictions, and blood vengeance. Then science entered the picture. Recent genetic studies on Afridi Pashtuns identified haplotypes associated with Jewish heritage. Broader population genetics data shows Pashtun DNA is remarkably close to Ashkenazi Jewish DNA. A Jerusalem rabbi looked at this data and the Pashtunwali code and said publicly, "These are my cousins, 40 million Muslims who may be carrying the genetic memory of ancient Israel." Candidate number 2, the Beta Israel, hidden in Ethiopia for over 1,000 years. The Ethiopian Jews claimed descent from the tribe of Dan in the 1980s and 90s. What followed was one of the most dramatic rescue operations in modern history. In May 1991, in just 36 hours, Israeli aircraft flew over 14,000 Ethiopian Jews from Addis Ababa to Tel Aviv in a single covert operation called Operation Solomon. Seats were removed, people sat on the floors. A community was transplanted across a continent in a day and a half. They came home to a country most had never seen, keeping a form of Judaism alive for 2,000 years without the Talmud. Candidate number 3, the Bnei Menashe, approximately 10,000 people from northeastern India, on the border with Myanmar. Their oral tradition describes a long migration from the land of Israel through Persia and China. They remembered painting doorposts with blood at Passover. They remembered animal sacrifice. In 2005, Israel's chief rabbi officially recognized them as descended from a lost tribe. And right now, in 2026, this is happening in real time. The Israeli government approved a formal plan to bring the remaining 5,800 Bnei Menashe to Israel by 2030. A community that wandered for 27 centuries is currently boarding flights home. Candidate number 4, the Lemba people. This one came with the most surprising scientific result of all. The Lemba of Zimbabwe in South Africa, Bantu-speaking sub-Saharan African in appearance, who maintained an oral tradition of descent from ancient Israel. In the 1990s, geneticists ran Y chromosome analysis on Lemba males. The results made international headlines. 50% of Lemba Y chromosomes were Semitic in origin, and their priestly clan, the Buba, showed a high frequency of the Cohen modal haplotype, the exact same genetic marker found in Jewish priestly families across the entire world. A priestly genetic signature preserved in an African tribe in Zimbabwe, matching the genetic signature of Jewish priests in New York and Jerusalem. Now, let us be completely honest about what the evidence actually shows, because this is where most documentaries stop being intellectually serious. The DNA evidence across all these groups is suggestive, not conclusive. Genetic similarity to Jewish populations proves Middle Eastern ancestry at some point in history. It does not definitively prove Israelite descent from the 10 northern tribes in 722 BC. The Pashtuns' DNA could reflect ancient Silk Road migrations. The Beta Israel DNA shows possible descent from Jews who arrived in Ethiopia centuries later. Mainstream historians hold a straightforward position. The 10 tribes were not mysteriously preserved, somewhere waiting to be discovered. They were absorbed, assimilated, mixed into the populations of the Assyrian Empire. 4 tribes, Reuben, Gad, Dan, Naphtali, vanished so completely that not a single document from any civilization mentions them after 732 BC. The honest answer is that the paper trail runs cold. What we have are communities around the world who preserved enough memory, practice, and genetic material to make the question genuinely serious, but not enough to close the case. But here is what makes this mystery more than an academic puzzle. Israel is actively, right now, in 2026, operating on the assumption that some of these people are real descendants. The Bnei Menashe immigration plan is government policy. The Beta Israel community is the result of covert military airlifts. Because in Jewish theology, the return of all 12 tribes is not just history, it is a prerequisite. The prophet Isaiah, writing around 700 BC, described God recovering the remnant of his people from Assyria, from Egypt, and from the islands of the sea. The ingathering of all 12 tribes is, in Orthodox eschatology, one of the signs that the Messianic age is beginning. 10 tribes vanished in 722 BC, and 2,700 years later, a modern state is running government immigration programs to find and bring back people who might be their descendants. Because a prophecy written in the 8th century BC said they would come home. The tribes of Reuben, Gad, Dan, and Naphtali have not appeared in a single document since 732 BC. Not one. In 2,758 years of recorded human history, nothing. They are the greatest disappearance in ancient history. But the search for them has produced one of the most extraordinary discoveries in modern genetics. That some of the most unlikely people on Earth, from the mountains of Afghanistan to the hills of Zimbabwe, may be carrying the bloodline of ancient Israel without ever knowing it. 27,290 people deported from Samaria, recorded in stone by an Assyrian king who thought he had erased them. He was wrong. The question is just, where exactly did they go?